All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. I'm smack dab in the middle of trying to write the tip calculator, the Murach version from Murach's Android Programming 2nd edition by Joel Murach. And I was running into problems in my code with this editor info thing. This was red. So I decided to go back to the source, and I went back to developer.android.com, looked up editor info, and I saw that it was under here. android.view.inputMethod.editorInfo. So I imported that file in at the top of my program, right here. All right, and once I did, the error at least appears for now to go away. Now they mention on page 62, about halfway down on the page, it says when you're implementing interfaces, Android can automatically generate the method or methods defined by the interface for you, which is usually what you want. To do that, you can code the implements keyword followed by the name of the interface. Then you can click within the name of the interface. All right, click on the error icon. So that's what I should have done. So in other words, let's grab all this. Let's take it and copy it back to there. All right. And I'm going to try to see if this will work. So the author says to do this, click the name within the name of the interface. Then you can click the error icon that Android Studio displays to the left of the code and select Add Methods. Now when I did this, it's coming up with a bunch of stuff, probably because of the way that I wrote it. All right, because I've already written it, so I should have done it that way. I apologize, I guess, for not doing it the way that they showed it in the book. All right, but it appears to be working now, okay? Now, as far as what's in here, the IME action done, as mentioned on page 65, this typically involves closing the soft keyboard. The IME action unspecified is usually when you use an older device and you hit an enter key. Alright, so IME is input method editor. It's a user control such as the soft keyboard. Alright. To determine which action key triggered the event, we're using the second thing that's in there, that action ID. Alright. So this is what we have in here right now. We're going to want to get and set the text for widgets on page 66. Remember that set text is a mutator, so I'm actually changing the value here and I'm changing the value here. If I use get text, I'm returning the value. All right, so we're going to be writing a method in just a second that is going to this calculate and display method. And actually I think we can write it now. We're not calling it yet, but this is the same method that is shown on the middle of page 67. So public void calculate and display. All right, the method is going to be gray because it won't be being called yet from anything or anyone. So get the bill amount. Now it's saying it doesn't know this bill amount string yet. Okay, so we will write this method, but I'm going to comment the whole thing out. I think we will need it later. All right, so if the bill amount string is going to be empty, what do we want to do? We want to set the bill amount to 0. This is going to handle that case where we haven't entered anything at all in to the text box or the edit text. Otherwise, the bill amount is going to be equal to, we have to float.parse float the bill amount string. Okay, so in other words, it says if we put nothing into here, set it to 0. Otherwise, just grab whatever's in there, and since we set it up to be numeric only, all right, since we did that, it should have to be a number. Now, again, I'm going to take this whole method here, and I'm going to comment it out, because it's giving us an error right now, and we don't want that. So I will write the whole method. All right, I'm going to write the whole thing, but I'm going to comment it out. Now, one thing I was always taught was that you should declare all of your variables at the top of the method where the author is not doing that. Does that mean the author is wrong? No. It's a stylish type of thing. You just have to declare the variable before you use it. This is going to set our answer so that it's in a currency format for both the tip and for the total. And I think I've mentioned this before, but when that comes up, the thing is, what I'm doing is I am taking the previous lecture that I've done and I am producing it. And when that comes up, the production is done. That's it for that routine. All right. Now, the author mentions on the bottom of page 67, for most widgets, you can use the getText and setText methods to get and set the text displayed in the widget. If necessary, you can use the parsing methods along with integer, double, or float to convert the strings to their necessary numeric type. And also, as in this case, you can use the number format class to convert the numeric values so that they have a dollar sign or a percent sign or whatever. All right. Now we have to handle clicking the plus or the minus button. And to do that, we are first going to import Android.view.onClickListener. All right, again, this is going to handle our button click. So we want to make sure that in here, not only do we want to implement this, but we also need another thing in here now to implement. And that is onClickListener. All right, so in this step, right here, the first thing that we did right here, we were importing the necessary interface. Here, we were actually implementing it, giving it our implement line, and then down here we have to actually write the code. I think to do that, we're going to have to import Android.view.view. All right. And yeah, that got rid of this. Now, some of this that we're getting these errors could be because I did not remove that app compat. So the compatible thing in the background. So that could be a lot of what's screwing this up. Now the author says tip percent equals tip percent minus 0.1f, okay, which is legal. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. But we can just say minus equals 0.1f. Now why is it giving me that? Cannot resolve the tip percent, which should have been defined someplace. All right, and then afterwards we're going to want to call calculate and display, which now is going to give us an error, but as soon as I uncomment this, that error should go away. All right, and I'm getting some mistakes here. I'm going to have to, all this stuff is going to have to eventually be resolved. All right, and I want to do that, and then break. Then I want to, for lack of better words, I want to copy this. Paste that in, and now we want the up button, which is our other button, and that'll be a plus equals. And it says we want to set the listeners in order to be able to do that. Somewhere in here, they will show us all of the code. So there it is on page, starting on page 75. It's on 75, 77, and 79. So what they show up here is after we create these variables, okay, right there, our edit text, etc., we also want private button percent up button private button percent down button. And in order to do that, we have to also implement here or import android.widget.button. All right, that should fix those errors that we had just gotten here. We're getting the gray because we're not using them yet. All right. We're going to have another variable that we're going to use later. So I'm going to put it in now. Define variable, define the shared preference object. We'll go over that later. All right. A couple more variables that we have to put in here. Define instance variable for tip percent, and that'll be private string bill amount string, which is what we used later on that we had not defined yet. And that's going to be equal to the empty string. And private float tip percent, which we are going to set equal to 15F. Now, did that clear out all the errors that we had down below there? That's gone. Okay, we don't have the number format, so it says cannot resolve that. So again, as always, we come up here and we type in Android number format. And it's going to be, we have to import this. Okay, it's not an Android thing, it's a Java thing. By doing that import, those number format errors have gone away. Okay? Now we have to set the listeners. So one thing we have to do is we have to come back in here, and where we've created these, we've got to put in two more. I'll continue on with this in the next video.